Hello everyone. Today let us discuss about counters, especially the asynchronous counters. So a counter is a sequential digital circuit which is used for counting purpose in many applications. It is nothing but a set of flip-flops whose state changes in response to clock pulses applied at the input terminal of the counter. Produces a numeric count each time an input clock pulse makes an active transition. As we know, we can count either in the up direction or in the down direction. Also, we can start our counting from an initial value. Okay, so a counter circuit consists of a clock input, some optional inputs to load an initial value, to select direction, etc. And the output from the counter circuit follows a defined sequence. It produces a numeric count each time an input clock pulse makes an active transition. So whenever this clock is active, it produces a numeric count and this count follows a defined sequence. Okay. The counter circuit cycles through a specified number of states. The output value changes by 1 on each active clock cycle. And after the largest value, the output wraps around back to the initial value. And the final state of the counter is called terminal counter. Okay, so we'll be having an initial state. From the initial state, it changes by 1 on each clock cycle. After reaching the terminal count, it wraps around back to the initial state. Fine. Now let's look into a 2-bit counter. Initially, the state of the counter is 0 0. Okay, we are moving to the next state by adding 1. Okay, so to the 0 0 by adding 1 on the active clock cycle, it changes to the 0 1 state. Now 0 1 is the present state. To the 0 1 state, we are adding 1 to get the next state. So now we reach the 1 0 state. So 1 0, from the 1 0 state, by adding 1, we move to the 1 1 state. Okay, that is the largest value of this 2-bit counter. After reaching this largest value, the output wraps around back to the initial value. Okay, so the counter circuits cycles through a specified number of states. Now let's discuss about the various types of counters. The counters can be classified into two broad categories according to the way they are clocked. They are asynchronous counters and synchronous counters. In asynchronous counters, the first flip-flop is clocked by the external clock pulse, and then each successive flip-flops is clocked by the output of the preceding flip-flop. That is, only the first flip-flop is clocked by the external clock pulse, and the remaining successive flip-flops are clocked by the output of the preceding flip-flop. These asynchronous counters can also be called as ripple counters. Fine. And the second type is synchronous counters, which can also be called as parallel counters, because the same clock is connected to all of the flip-flops so that they are clocked simultaneously. Okay, so all the flip-flops will be activated by the same clock. Okay. As we said, all the flip-flops are triggered with the same clock in the synchronous counters, whereas different clock is applied to the different flip-flops in asynchronous counters. Synchronous counters are faster because same clock is applied to all the flip-flops and they can activate it simultaneously, whereas these asynchronous counters are slower. The design is complex in the case of synchronous counter, but their design is relatively easy of this asynchronous counter. Decoding errors are not there in the synchronous counter, whereas decoding errors may present in the asynchronous counter. Any required sequence can be designed in the synchronous counter but only fixed sequence can be designed in the asynchronous counter. Okay, now let's look into the various types of counters classified based on the direction of counting. We can count either in the up direction or in the down direction, right? So based on that, we'll be having two counters, up counter and down counter. The up counter counts in the upward direction, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. up to n. Whereas the down counter counts in the downward direction, that is from n minus 1, n minus 2, etc. 1, 0, like that. So each of the counts of the counter is called the state of the counter. Okay. The modulus of a counter is equal to the total number of distinct states, including 0. For example, a 2-bit counter has 4 states. So an n-bit counter has 2 raised to n states. Okay. So a 2-bit counter with 4 states can be called as a mode 4 counter. Okay. So an n-bit counter with n 2 raised to n states can be called as a mode 2 raised to n counter. Okay. A counter which goes through all the possible states before restarting is called the full modulus counter. And a counter in which the maximum number of states can be changed is called the variable modulus counter. Okay, so the modulus of a counter is nothing but the total number of distinct states. Okay, so if a counter has n bit, it consists of 2 raised to n states. Okay, and so it is can be called as mode 2 raised to n counter. Fine. Counters differ by a number of basic characteristics, including number of bits. Number of bits of a counter can be 4-bit, 8-bit, etc. If it is a 4-bit number, then 2 raised to 4 different states will be there, and the various states are from 0000 to 1111. Similarly, if it has an 8-bit counter, 2 raised to 8 different states will be there, and the various states are 00000000 to 11111111 in binary. Then, based on the number of states, if you're having m different states, then it is called as a modulo m counter. It can also be called as divide by m counter. Then, based on the direction of the counter, we can have two types, up counter or down counter. Based on the clocking, we'll be having two types of counters, asynchronous counter or synchronous counter. So, based on the modulus, coding, direction, resettable or loadable, we can have different types of counters. The common task of counters are to count up or down direction, to increment or decrement the count value, sequence events, divide the frequency, to calculate the memory address, etc. So based on that, the various applications of counters include system clock, timer delays, batches, clocks, alarms, counting events, memory address calculation, frequency division, sequence control, etc. So wherever we need to have this counting operation, we can have this counters. Okay, now let's focus on to these asynchronous counters. An asynchronous n-bit counter can be formed from n cascaded flip-flops. That is, to have a 3-bit asynchronous counter, we need to connect 3 flip-flops in cascade or in chain. Okay, we can make use of T flip-flop or the JK flip-flop with J and K connected permanently to logic 1 for designing the counter. Okay, so we can make use of a T counter or the JK flip-flop with J and K connected to logic 1 for designing the counter. Okay. In asynchronous counters, the first flip-flop is clocked by an external clock pulse. Okay, only the first flip-flop is clocked by an external clock pulse, and all the remaining flip-flops will be clocked by the output of the preceding flip-flop. So in this case, the output of the flip-flop, that is Q, is connected as the clock input of the next flip-flop. Okay, so in asynchronous counters, only the first flip-flop is clocked by the external clock pulse, and each successive flip-flops will be then clocked by the output of the preceding flip-flop. Output of the preceding flip-flop. It can be either Q or Q bar. Okay. Synchronous counters are slower than synchronous counters because of the delay in the transmission of the pulses from flip-flop to flip-flop. These asynchronous counters are also called as ripple counters because of the way the clock pulse ripples its way through the flip-flops. That is, the flip-flop 0 must change its state before it can trigger the flip-flop 1. Okay, and the flip-flop 1 has to change its states before it can trigger the flip-flop 2. The triggers move through the flip-flop like a ripple in water, and so it is called as ripple counters. And because of this rippling effect, the overall propagation delay time is the sum of the individual delays. For example, if each flip-flop has a propagation delay time of 10 nanosecond, then the overall propagation delay time for the 3-bit counter is 30 nanosecond, right? Since we are having 3 flip-flops, 3 into 10, that is 30 nanosecond will be the overall propagation delay time. So as we discussed earlier, the number of states used in the counter can be called as the modulus of a counter. The number of flip-flops determines the count limit or the number of states. If you are having n flip-flops, then 2 raised to n different states will be there. So the number of flip-flops actually determines the possible number of states or the count limit. Okay, and the number of states used by a counter is called its modulus. Okay, the modulus counters or simply mode counters are defined based on the number of states that the counter will sequence through before returning back to its original value. That is the number of distinct states. Okay. For example, a modulus 12 counter would count from 0 to 11 and it requires 4 flip-flops. So 16 states will be there, but only 12 is used, and so it is called as a modulus 12 counter. Okay, so the modulus is nothing but the number of states that the counter will sequence through before returning back to its original value. Based on the number of bits used in the counter, we can have 2-bit ripple counter, 3-bit ripple counter, etc. N-bit ripple counters are possible. Okay. With the help of this 2-bit, we can have 2 raised to 2 possible states. 2 raised to 2 means 4. That means this 2-bit ripple counter can also be called as modulus 4 ripple counter, also called as mode 4 ripple counter. Okay, fine. As we know, this counting can be done either in the up direction or in the down direction. Based on that, we'll be having two types of 2-bit ripple counters, 2-bit ripple up counter and 2-bit ripple down counter. Okay. In the case of up counter, each flip-flop is triggered by the Q output of the preceding flip-flop. That is, the Q output of the flip-flop is connected as the clock input of the next flip-flop connected in the chain. Whereas in the down counter, the flip-flop is triggered by the Q bar output of the preceding flip-flop. That is, the Q bar output of the flip-flop is connected as the input clock of the next flip-flop connected in the chain. Okay, so that is the difference. If it is up counter, Q is connected to the clock line, and if it is down counter, Q bar output line is connected as the clock input line. Okay, now let us look into a 2-bit ripple up counter designed using T flip-flop, and it is negative edge triggered. Okay, since it is a 2-bit counter, we need 2 flip-flops. Okay, we need 2 flip-flops, and we are making use of T flip-flop. Okay, we are taking 2 T flip-flops. Okay, and this T input lines are tied to the logic 1. To make that one into the toggle mode, this T inputs are tied to the logic 1. Okay, so we are using two T flip-flops and this T input terminals are connected to logic 1. Fine. And we are using a negative edge triggered flip-flops. So the external clock is connected, or the flip-flop will be active at the negative transition of this clock. Okay, then it is an up counter. Since it is an up counter, the Q output of the preceding flip-flop is connected as the clock input of the next flip-flop. Okay, so this is a 2-bit ripple up counter designed using T flip-flop, and it is negative edge triggered T flip-flop. Okay, now let's design a 2-bit ripple down counter using positive edge triggered JK flip-flop. Okay, since it is 2-bit, we need to have two flip-flops, and we are using two positive edge triggered JK flip-flop. Two positive edge triggered JK flip-flop. Okay, so to make this JK flip-flop into the toggle mode, this J and K terminals are connected to 1. Okay, this J and K input terminals are tied together to the logic 1. Okay, and these two flip-flops are positive edge triggered. Okay, we need to design a down counter. So we are taking the Q bar output of the flip-flop as the input clock of the next flip-flop connected in the chain. Okay, so we are connecting this Q bar as the new clock input of the next flip-flop connected in the chain. Okay, so that is the 2-bit ripple down counter. Okay, so 2-bit ripple up counter means Q is connected as the clock input of the next flip-flop, and 2-bit ripple down counter means Q bar is connected as the new clock input of the next flip-flop. Okay, now let's look into the timing diagram of this 2-bit ripple down counter. Okay, so since it is positive edge triggered, during the first external clock pulse, during the positive edge of the external clock, this Q is toggled to the 1 state. So this Q0, that is the output of the first flip-flop. This Q0 is toggled to the 1 state. Then during the next positive edge, it is toggled to the logic 0 state. Then during the next clock edge, it toggled to 1 state, 0 state. It goes on like that. Then the Q0 bar is just opposite to the Q0. Okay, we are taking the positive edge of this Q0 as the clock to the second flip-flop. Okay, so this Q0 bar is taken as the clock input of the next flip-flop. Okay, so to generate this Q1, we are taking the positive edge of this Q0 bar. So at the first positive edge of this Q0 bar, this Q1 is toggled to the 1 state. Okay, then during the next positive pulse, it toggles to the logic 0 state. Okay, so the external clock is acting as the clock input of the first flip-flop. Then the Q0 input is acting as the clock input of the second flip-flop. Okay, so this is the working of a 2-bit ripple down counter. Similarly, let us discuss about a 3-bit ripple down counter. Okay, since it is a 3-bit, we need 3 flip-flops. Here we are making use of JK flip-flops. So we are using 3 JK flip-flops. Okay, make sure that all the J and K terminals are connected to logic 1. To make that one in the toggle mode, all the J and K input terminals should be connected to the logic 1. Okay, since it is of 3-bit, 2 raised to 3 possible states are there, that is 8 states are there, and so it is also called as mode 8 ripple counter or modulus 8 ripple counter. Okay, since we are going to design a down counter, the Q bar is connected as clock of the next flip-flop connected in the chain. Okay, Q bar is connected as the clock input of the next flip-flop. Okay, and it is positive edge triggered. So the external clock or the FF0 will be active at the positive edge of the clock pulse. And the flip-flop which is connected to the external clock produces the least significant bit. So FF0 produces the least significant bit and the FF2 produces the MSB. Okay, so let's look into this logic diagram. We are having three JK flip-flops. All the J and K terminals are connected to one. Okay, the first flip-flop is connected to an external clock. Okay, the output from the first flip-flop, that's Q0 and Q bar 0. This Q bar 0 is connected as the clock input of the FF1. Since it is a down counter, the Q bar input is connected as the clock input of the next flip-flop. Okay, now let's look into this timing diagram. We are having an external clock. Okay, since it is a positive edge triggered, we are considering the first positive edge. During the first positive edge, the Q0 changes its state. Okay, so the Q0 toggles its state. Okay, then during the next positive clock pulse, Q0 toggles to the logic 0 mode. The process continues. Fine. Then, since it is a down counter, Q0 bar is connected as the clock pulse, right? So, Q0 bar means it is just opposite to the Q0. Okay, so since Q0, or we can consider the negative edge of the Q0. Okay, so the negative edge of the Q0 means the positive edge of the Q0 bar. Okay, so during the negative edge of this Q0, this Q1 changes its state. Okay, so the negative edge of the Q0 means the positive edge of the Q0 bar. Okay, so here we are considering the negative edge of the Q0. So at that time, Q1 changes its state. Okay, during the next negative edge, again the Q1 changes its state. Okay, the negative edge of this Q1 is considered for the clock input of this FF2. Okay, so during the negative edge of this Q1, Q2 changes its state. Okay, so from this 0 mode, it changes to logic 1. Okay, during the next negative edge, it again changes to 0. Okay, so this is the timing diagram which explains the working of a 3-bit ripple down counter. So it starts with 0 0 0 and it ends with 1 1 1. That is 8 different states are possible. Let's discuss about the 4-bit counter. The difference is, since it is 4-bit, we need to have 4 flip-flops. Here also we are considering the JK flip-flops. All the J and K input terminals are connected to logic 1. Fine. Since it is an up counter, the Q output is connected as the clock input. Here we are considering a negative edge triggered. So we are making it as a negative edge. By putting an inverter, we are making it as an negative edge. Okay, so the only difference is that here we are considering the negative edge and we are designing a up counter. Up counter means Q output is connected as the clock input. Okay, this FF0 where this external clock is connected produces the least significant bit and FF3 produces the most significant bit. Fine. During the negative edge or during the first negative edge of the clock, the Q0 changes its state. Okay, the Q0 changes its state during the first negative edge of the external clock. Okay, to change this Q1 value, the negative edge of this Q0 is considered. The negative edge of this Q0. During the time of this, the Q1 changes its value. Then to change this Q2, the Q1 is the clock, right? So the negative edge of this Q1 acts as the clock of this FF2. Okay, so the Q2 produces, or Q2 change, FF2 changes its state during the negative edge of Q1. Similarly, during the negative edge of this Q2, FF3 changes its state. Okay, so this is the timing diagram which explains the working of a modulus 16 ripple counter. As of now, we discussed about the up counters and down counters. This up and down counters can be combined together to obtain an up-down counter. So with the help of a single counter, we can count in both the directions. We can count either in the up direction or in the down direction. So a control input is required to select the operation or select the direction. Okay, so at a time we can perform only one type of counting. We can count either in the up direction or in the down direction. So a control input line is required to select either up or down mode. Okay, so that control line can be called as mode line or mode control input, or it can also be called as up or down complement line. Okay, so in the case of up counting mode, the up or down complement line or the mode control line equal to 1. Okay, so when up or down complement line is equal to 1, it indicates that it is in the upward mode. Okay, since it is in the up counting mode, the Q is connected as the clock to the next flip-flop. Fine. Similarly, in the case of down counting mode, the up or down complement or the mode value should be equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, we need to count downward. So Q bar of the preceding flip-flop is connected as the clock of the next flip-flop. And always the LSB flip-flop receives the external clock directly. We need to have both the operations to be done. That is, we need to perform both up and down operation using a single counter. We need to have a control line. So here we are making use of a control line named as M. So this M stands for mode. So this mode control line determines whether it is in the up mode or in the down mode. Okay, if M is equal to 1 and if M is equal to 1, it indicates that we are going to perform an up operation, up counting operation. Similarly, if M is equal to 0, then it acts as a down counter. Okay, so based on the value of this M, we can have either as a up counting or as a down counting. Okay, first let us discuss about the up counting. So for performing this up counting, we need to connect this Q as the input clock of the next flip-flop. Okay, so this Q and this M line is connected to an AND gate. Okay, so this AND gate will be enabled when M is equal to 1. Okay, so when M is equal to 1, that means we need to perform the up operation. So we are taking the value of QA. Okay, if M is equal to 0, that means we are going to perform the down operation. So to perform this down operation, Q bar should be connected as the clock input. So this Q bar as well as the M is connected to the second AND gate. Okay, so either of these two options will be done. That means either it can perform the up counting or it can perform the down counting. So we are making use of an OR gate. Either of this operation will be performed and that one will be connected as the clock input of the next flip-flop. Okay, so to the first AND gate, the inputs are the mode control line. The mode control line should be equal to 1. The mode control line and the Q value. This AND gate denotes the up operation. Okay, then to denote the down operation, Q bar should be connected as the input. Then the M complement should be connected as the second input. Either of these two will reach the terminal through this OR gate. Okay. So this is the case of 3-bit up-down counter. Similarly, we can design a 4-bit up-down counter or a 2-bit up-down counter or an n-bit up-down counter can be designed. So to each of this clock input, we need to have a combinational gates. Okay, we need to have two AND gate and an OR gate. Okay. Now let's look into this count up mode and count out mode. In the count up mode, we are starting the counting from the initial state 000 and it continues the counting operation till it reaches the 111. Okay. Similarly, we can have the down mode also. So when the control line or when the mode line is equal to 1, then the lower AND gates will be disabled and so they will not affect the output of the OR gate. At the same time, the upper AND gates will be enabled. Hence, QA will be passed through the OR gate and into the clock input of the B flip-flop. Similarly, QB will be gated into the clock input of the C flip-flop. Thus, as the input pulses are applied, it will count up and follow a natural binary counting sequence from 000 to 111. Similarly, we can hold the control line to low. If the control line or if the M value is equal to 0, that means we are going to perform the down counting operation. So the upper AND gates will be disabled and the lower AND gates will be enabled. So QA bar will be passed through the OR gate and into the clock input of the second flip-flop. Similarly, Q bar B will be gated into the third flip-flop. Thus, it will count down and follow a sequence from 111 to 000. In this video, we discussed about the asynchronous counters. Thank you.